Hey.
Hey, good people.
Hi, how's everyone doing? I don't think there's anyone in the chat. It is us again, Maurice and Debbie. Hi to everyone. For those of you who are going to be watching the replay, this is probably especially for you because there's no one on. I was waiting a little while. That's why we came on later than normal. We gave it like 5 minutes or so just to make sure that people came into the room. But it's just me and you at the moment, Paul.
Yes,
so
it is. And you know the wonderful thing? I'm at home today.
yeah.
No on the road in the car. No lags, nothing like that. I feel so good. You don't know.
I know it's working today. It's
so
working.
I used to have to be rushing and finding a spot, and the spot didn't work. And so what I realized, it's the processor of this laptop.
Yeah.
You know?
At least you sucked it.
Of
and we're
course.
able to crack on today with no lags. Welcome. Say hi in the chat. You can say hi in the chat. Let us know where you are chiming in from. As you know,
you can leave comments afterwards as well, whenever you want.
What do you say?
They can leave comments after, like replays, because I know a lot of people who watch this after. So please leave your comments as well, what you think, you know, if it's been helpful, any subject matters that you would like to discuss as well, please leave it in the chat as well, and we'll look at them and possibly talk about them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're up for any kind of conversations. It's really good when you guys can feed back to us, let us know how we're doing, whether you can hear us, whether our background is good. I think that we're kind of working on that as we go along. So thanks for those that are joining. As I said, you can just put your place where you're chiming in from in the chat. You know, it's like a little community. We want it to be a nice community of people who's coming on and wanting to just get to know a little bit more, get to know myself and my brother and just what this whole conversation is about. So it's gym time, get your motivation. And yeah, we're going to crack on. So today's subject, go ahead, Paul.
Dating outside of your race.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Let's do our disclaimer, Debbie.
Yeah, go ahead. You do yours.
Well, as I always say, I say that I take from what Debbie gave me. I used to say, oh, we're not experts, but we're experts because of our experiences in the fields that we're discussing. Don't hold us ransom if it don't work for you, but do try some of the strategies. Or part of our discussion is to open up your mind a little bit. So don't take us to court, because this is the disclaimer. All right. Greetings, Paul and Debbie from Dennis. Hey, Dennis. This is my good friend Dennis in the States. Nice to see you, Dennis. Blessings, man. Share. You know, and now you see my lovely sister Debbie as well. Yeah?
Hi, Dennis.
And you can leave a comment in there as well, Dennis.
Why was
Say again? Yeah, it's turn up. I'll actually do it for you. Try that.
What's that? What did you just do?
I turn up your volume on your picture.
Oh.
Yeah, that one underneath you. So, disclaimer.
I'm wondering why my volume sounds like that today. Sound like an alien.
It doesn't here, so maybe it does to you, but on here you're crystal clear then.
Okay, brilliant. So my disclaimer is I might not know everything, but what I do know, I will share with you. It's as simple as that. So yeah, we're on here just to encourage, to uplift, to motivate those that are in relationships, those that want to get into relationships, those that are in relationships, married, you know, dating, whatever the weather is. We're on here really to encourage you and to inspire you. So what we have experienced is many different things. Both me and Paul are divorcees. We've got a trailer load of kids between us and grandchildren.
Wow.
And yeah, we just have these really good conversations, and we just wanted you guys to be like a fly on the wall and listen to the conversations. But that's where we initially started from. But we really want you to engage with us. We really want to hear your thoughts and your feelings around the subject matters. We want to also share some of the things that you would put forward to us. Like, we will go away, if there's things that we don't know, we'll go and research it and make sure that we come back with our findings. So it's really just to inspire and uplift and motivate you guys, and like Paul said, there are things that you can try in your relationship. If there is struggles, if there are things that are going on within your relationship and you haven't found a solution, maybe you might find a solution here. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, with
I was
that
going
being
to say, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that they'd like us to extend the time. But if any of you feel that we've not concluded or given you a solution, please leave it in there. It's an open discussion. It's not just a discussion with Debbie and myself, but it's for you guys as well, your feedback, your questions, and we'll try and answer those questions based upon our experiences as well. Truly Hidden, you're here. Hey.
hey,
Yeah, so as Debbie said, the subject dating outside of your race. So you go. Yeah, I think you should start this one, Debbie.
yeah, I don't mind starting this one. I don't know why I'm getting this feedback, but it's so annoying. It's like I can hear like noise after when I speak. So dating outside of your race, as the world evolves, and I mean, we live in the UK, and so the borders have been open for a while, and we are seeing that more and more people are coming in to the UK. And I personally have noticed more so now than ever before, more Black women dating out of their race. I don't know if you've noticed that. Have you noticed that, Paul?
I've always seen, the difference. You could say. Um, I find. Um, I was thinking about this subject as well. Deeply today, and sometimes for me, in my situation, the environment that I was in, most of the guys that were around me didn't really date black girls, and so you have a way to draw to your environment as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And growing up, you would have heard this. Growing up, certain black guys would say, "Oh, I can't talk to black girls because they're too stush, or they won't, they don't look at me." I think, as I was pondering on this, you find love where you find love. You find relationship where you find relationship. In God, we are one. You know, um, my personal opinion, I always said that depending on what color child that I had, that's the race I would have stuck with. So had I had mixed race children, then I would have continued to the same trend as opposed to having a black child, a mixed child. That was just my personal opinion. I just think that it made it, for me, made it easier. So where I um, came away from dating English girls or Italian or whatever I did and settled with a black woman, that's where I was having because I had my first child and he was black. And I just felt that keeping it in my race was so much easier, not just for me, but for my children, because as a black person, oh yeah, I'm black. As a black person, hearing the racial remarks, I felt that, you know, and as I said, from a young age, I've been, I thought about these things, I felt that it was easier that you call me this, you know, and if you're going to call my children, you'll call my children that. You're not going to call me this and call my children that. And then, we talk straight here. So, whether it be, because back then as well, you had white guys that would say to white girls, you nigger lover,
Yeah.
and you had black girls that would say, you banana check. Now, what that meant is that you're dating the other race. Yeah. So I mean, some of you probably too young. Maybe some of you are in that era where you know. But as time has moved on, you know, I've said that who you connect with, who you build with, who you have children with, it's down to you. If you ask me my opinion, I think that if you have black children or you have mixed race children, I think the trend should continue. That's my personal opinion. You know, some people might not agree with that. Anybody, any comments on that?
Yeah, I it's quite funny that you say that, because I do know people who have got white children and then they've got mixed race children. I do know people who's got black children and they're mixed race children, and the challenges that they've faced is different. Especially, I think, especially the black friends that have got mixed race children. It's kind of like, if you've got mixed race children, it's like, why have you got mixed race children? And there are some people coming from the perspective of how that child is going to be treated, but then there's others that are looking at it that some of your children are black in skin tone and some of them are mixed race. Like for me, when you said about, you would have preferred to just keep it, either black or mixed race. Like you said in the beginning, whoever you fall for, you fall for. So you could have ended up with black children and then mixed race children, but like you said, that was your preference, just to stick with one race. Now,
Mm.
I've found more and more that black women are dating outside of their race. I don't know if it was because the borders are open, or just like what the black men have said, they're tired of black women because they argue, they got too much mouth, they can carry on stink. These are all things that people have actually said. Black women are really difficult, and there was that stigma with the white woman, where back in the day it was, they're easy to sleep with, they're easy to buy them stuff and do stuff for them, whereas the black woman was like really
Get nothing.
nothing. They weren't doing nothing off the cuff. Do you know what I mean? They weren't doing none of that, what they considered nasty stuff. They weren't doing anything. If you wanted to have oral sex, you would go to a white girl. If you wanted to do anything outlandish, it was a white girl that was going to do it for you, and she's going to pay for you to go out to dinner. She's going to pay for your petrol. These were all the things that the guys were saying. Like,
Gosh, I missed out on all of that. I didn't know that.
that's why they were saying that they was dating white girls. But at the end of the day, there was some that was saying that, but they ended up in relationships with them,
And either marrying, having babies, or still with them now.
And still with them now. Do you know what I mean? And I do think, back in the day, it was like, if you as a black woman, me as a black woman, saw a black guy, nice handsome black guy with a white girl, it would be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you like selling out? That's how we used to see it. That's how we used to feel. I remember when I started having my kids and they started to get to a certain age, I was just like, I don't want you to date outside the race. But that was just a narrow mindset, because it was really about what we have been instilled, and it was more about and it was more about, if my kids was to be with a white girl, is that race card going to be thrown at them? When you get into arguments, are they going to call you a coon? Are they going to call you a nigger? I don't want my sons to be slapping down down nobody.
Well, you know what? That was the discussion. That's the discussion that used to take place, Debbie. I used to hear English girls saying to a black guy, you're black bastard, or you're nigger, or other words that are deeper than that, But you're with this person. Why would you do that? And for some reason, for some of those guys, they took it. They took it, because she was just upset. Going back to you saying about the stigma about black girls were coarse or rough or wasn't going to take anything. It was just a stigma, because for me dating black girls gave it up the same day. Black girls done oral. you know, and whatever else was on the table. So I think that it was dependent on the individual. Yeah. So if a
Absolutely.
black guy was trying to check this black girl and she was saying no, the white girl said yes. But if you'd gone down the road a little bit more, maybe that black girl would have said yes. But straight away, you think, cha. And then for me, seeing black girls with white guys, at first it used to be, I used to see it a bit funny because I never saw that kind of thing. I saw black guys dating every other race, yeah, out there, but I never really saw black girls with white guys. And the first time was like, oh. And then I remember this guy, I don't remember if you remember Steve, who used to date a girl on our road. He used to gel his hair back in a ponytail, he was really tall and skinny. And he was the first white guy that I actually went around with that was going out with black girls. After this, you read those though. And then I got used to it, yeah, because what was happening at the same time is that there was black guys that was with black girls and with every other black girl, you know? But then you see, for me, that's right across the scope. You could have white guys doing exactly the same thing. He could be a black woman or any other race and doing exactly the same thing. But it's what you highlight, you know? And if you highlight it, then you follow that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so hi Lydia. Lydia
I
said
laughed at that.
in my day we called it jungle fever. I do remember that actually.
Do you want to elaborate on why it's called jungle fever?
I do remember people saying jungle fever. Never saw it like that before. I'm not too sure what you're saying that in relation to Truly Hidden. Was never raised to see the difference in race growing up. I did date outside my race, very interesting, but I definitely love my race and would love to continue in that way. However, if my race aren't looking my way, I won't put myself on the shelf just because another race finds me attractive.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I never ever dated outside my race. Actually, when I was young, really, really young, school,
I was going to say.
primary school, yeah, we used to date out. I used to date outside of my race, because it was like there was black boys, there was white boys, but back then in primary school, you didn't really see no difference. It was just people were people. It was only when you got older, you know. I mean, in primary school, people used to call black people coon and all of that. They used to do that in primary school, but it wasn't a thing. It really wasn't a thing. The white boys went out with black girls went out with white boys, black boys went out with white girls. Excuse me, it really wasn't a thing. It was when I really got into secondary school that it became a thing, like not to really date outside of a race. And our mum had that kind of influence as well. She would say certain things, that made me think, well, it isn't a done thing, you know what I mean? Because she wasn't okay with us bringing, well, for me, Paul and Michael, they dated as teenagers outside the race. But for some reason, with me, mummy was just like, "Me no want no mixed race picnic, grand picnic."
No, she never said it. She said, "Me no want a half caste picnic in my
Yeah,
yard."
that's
Call it
what
like it is.
she did used to say that. No, but she used to say mixed race as well. And so it wasn't really up for debate, really. But to be quite honest, I mixed with white people and I mixed with black people. I didn't really see much of a difference apart from the fact that, there were certain things about white guys that I didn't actually like. Like I didn't like the hair. The hair was like always looked like if it was greasy, like kind of unkept. And that's what I'm saying. It was the people that I was around, it wasn't across the board. I wasn't really attracted. If I found someone that was attractive, they was dark in skin, dark hair.
Mediterranean type.
Yeah, but again, that wasn't really my thing. I just found that for most part, most of my friends dated black guys. It wasn't really our thing to do.
Do you think that that influenced you because you were around people that dated black guys, or do you think that if it was the case that one and two of the girlfriends had white guys, you would have explored that place, regardless, take away the greasy ones that you saw, or the stigma back there again was most guys drink and they're drunk and it's just drunkenness,
Yeah.
or they beat you up. That I remember hearing all of that, but
And
that's right across the scope again,
yeah, it wasn't really down to my friends. I mean, as I got older, I went on a few dates, Indian, Italian, white. But again, they just wasn't my cup of tea. I genuinely wanted to see what another race was like in terms of conversation and things like that. Conversation was fine and everything, but I just didn't. It wasn't genuinely for me, and it wasn't so much because they didn't understand black culture. It wasn't really because of
I was
that.
going to go there just now.
They understood some of it, but not much of black culture. And I think that you know, I remember one time this guy said to me, "Oh, I've always wanted like a Nubian princess. I've always wanted to date someone with nice brown skin and the way he was describing it was very much like a fantasy. Do you know what I mean? Like you're very ethnic in your brown skin and whatever. And I found that they was more curious about our race and curious about what a black woman could bring to the table, like even sexually, what a black woman was about. You know what I mean? They was more curious in that regard. And I was like, I'm not your, I'm not going to be your um,
Experiment.
experiment for you to just see what it's like to be with a black woman. But yeah, I think it was more curiosity more than anything, more than wanting a relationship. Do you get what I mean?
Any more comments? Any more comments? Any questions on this? I'll still go on. I was going to say that for me, I've found that the cooking side of things. That's why as time's moved on, it's so much YouTube or you as an individual, as a black
Rice and
man,
peas,
black
rice and
woman,
peas and
a
chicken.
white woman, Asian woman, whatever you are, wherever culture you're from, that if your chosen partner doesn't do cook in that particular way, you teach them.
Yeah,
Because that's the person that you've chosen to be with. You know, I said it to my children. I said I would prefer that you dated in your race for lots of different reasons, culture-wise, etc. I have mixed race grandchildren. I don't love them any different. As I said to my children, that was at a certain age. But when you get older and wiser, love, you find love where you find love. It isn't anything to do with what people's perception is or what they think you should be doing. The media will put out certain things. The National Front will say what they've got to say. The British parties will say what they've got to say. The Jamaicans, the Africans, the Nigerians, everybody has their opinion. But
absolutely.
it isn't about people's opinion. It's about your choices in life. It's about your choices on who you choose to love or allow to love you.
Yeah, so hidden truth is, yeah, I get the exotic fantasy idea, and I've actually said that to a guy before. Lydia said Jungle Fever was just a joke between me and my friends because of the movie Jungle Fever. But funny you say that, Lydia, because people did used to say it's jungle fever. Do you know what I mean? If you
Yeah,
stated
yeah,
outside of the race. But you know what? Something that you actually said, going back to what you said about the cooking. So I think that even though naturally you can have black skin and still be a completely different race. So
yeah,
I could be dating an African guy and his food is going to be different from our Jamaican food in some respect. Like if they're going to eat pounded yam and fufu and jollof rice and all like those big shells, big like I don't even know what they call them, conch or whatever. They will be
yeah.
eating different food. And again, it's really down to you within your culture that you teach that other person. Because a lot of the black guys that I knew that dated white girls would say, oh, they can't cook. That was the first thing that they would say. They can't cook, they don't wash dishes, they're nasty like that. Yeah, just like certain things were just nasty about them. And I used to think, well, if you're with somebody, why don't you teach them how to make rice and peas? Why don't you
That's right.
show them what
That's
the culture is about? They would say stuff like, oh, you know, they don't cream the child's skin, like they've got mixed race children, don't know how to cream the
You have to
children's skin and
explain
care
why,
for
innit?
their. You teach them, innit? You teach them. Similar, you decided to be with a white girl or Italian girl or a different girl from your race. You teach them how to do it. And the thing is, people think, black guys think that all black girls can cook. That's not true. I had friends that couldn't cook. I remember one time seeing my friends, now call no names, yeah? Call no names just in case you're watching. I went to their house and they made corned beef and rice. And I was like, that is not corned beef and rice, yeah? That is something different. It was pure, it was watery. I was like, I'd never seen corned beef and rice made like that. And they added corn. Personally, I've never added corn to corned beef and rice, probably because it says corn in it. But ultimately,
do you know what that's done?
But people think that because you're black, you can cook. Because you're black, you can dance. That's not true. Those things are not true. They're myths. Not all black girls can cook. Not all black girls can clean. You know what I mean? It's just not true. And there are white girls that can cook really good.
Yeah,
and they
much
clean.
so.
You know what I mean? So it's the people who you meet up with. It's people who you've come into contact with that can't cook, can't clean, and it's not to do with that particular race. Do you know what I mean? Their food will be different from our food. It might not be seasoned as much, but that's how they've been taught how to cook.
That's right.
And if they meet somebody from their culture, their food will be perfectly fine. I mean, I like a sausage and a mash. Do you know what I mean? I like a good old shepherd's pie and spaghetti bolognese. Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't
fish
like
and chips?
things?
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Who don't like food like that? But back then, if you was to say you're going to be dating a white guy or a white girl, you know, it was all about, all they're going to make for you is pie and mash, fish and chips, and people used to laugh after you. Do you know what I mean? You're going to go to the takeaway all the time, but that isn't true at all. You know, what was you going to say, Paul?
No, I was just elaborating on what you're saying. The thing is that still happens now, right? I keep on using the word right across the scope. You know, one of my sons, he can throw down when it comes to cooking, yeah, and he cooks for his partner, who's a white girl, and she loves his food. Whether she wants to ever learn to cook it, that's another thing, you know. But if he enjoys, or you enjoy, him or her enjoy cooking for the person because they enjoy the TSA a hand, as they say, then you continue to do it. You know, if you're not happy in doing that, you bring them along and you teach them. I remember one girl I used to date, you know, and she couldn't understand mummy, you know, and so she said she'd be down there for hours. Yeah, I know some of you are laughing out there. She'd be down there for hours, and mommy would be just talking. I remember when I came home one of the days, she said, "Your mum was talking to me, and I don't know what she was saying. Nothing." And it's not that mummy's or our mum's accent is that broad. It's just the accent in it for her, you know. Proper English girl, you know, mousy brown hair, blue eyes, you know. But she had no clue of what my mum
she was just nodding and saying, yeah.
And she don't even know what she's nodding to. But what I said to her, I said, listen to the first word and the last word that my mum said. Yeah, and then you'll know whether to say yes or no. And it's a true story, you know.
But the thing is, mummy was probably talking fast, so she probably wasn't able to pick up what she was actually saying.
Yeah, she didn't say fast though.
She just couldn't work it out.
You know, she didn't work it out. But nevertheless, you know, that lasted quite some time. You know, Carol. You know, it lasted some time. So it for me, like I said, from the age that I was, my teens, that kind of changed me, believe it or not. That changed my thought process. I want someone to be able to understand my mum, engage with mummy, and and if mummy's talk, because obviously she's going to talk about her culture, she's going to talk about her childhood, she's going to go there, and she's going to go there in the way that she knows how. So she says, yes, Musa for Guapa, I'm not saying that that has to definitely be that you have to be a Jamaican woman, but even for me, in as a black race, there are similarities in the Nigerian and Ghana and the other Caribbean islands as well. So for me, it was just the black skin that it was that was me. That was me. Come on, people, talk, man. There's 11 of you in
Yeah,
here.
what are your opinions on dating outside of your race? What are the challenges that you've faced if you have dated, or the things that you've experienced, what people have said and so forth? Whether
And did
there
it
was
put you off?
what is basically the pros and the cons? Like, I think that with any race there's going to be pros and cons. I think that my children's dad comes from South America. They speak Uruguayan. No, Spanish, sorry. They come from Uruguay. But, they speak Spanish. And yeah, there was the language barrier. Pat's just clapping. Yeah, there was the language barrier. Not because he spoke Spanish and couldn't speak good English, because he came here when he was really young, but there was the language barrier with some of the family members. He wasn't used to the type of food that we cooked. They cook completely different food, but he got used to cooking oxtail, curry goat, rice and peas, and all of those things. Absolutely loved the food, but wasn't able to but then learned to cook it. It thought it was really nice, but there often is language barriers. I know somebody who's married to, I think he's Italian actually, and there was that language barrier where she didn't really fully understand everything, and with the family and so forth. And I think that those are some of the challenges that you experience. Culturally, you're going to experience some challenges. But again, like, you can come from London and meet people and you're going to experience challenges just because of culture, just because of your upbringing. And I guess marrying somebody or being in a relationship with someone totally out of your race is going to add extra challenges. So would you see it from a perspective of, if you look at the challenges that you face, that you would encourage people to stick within their race pool? Would you say that?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I think that I go back to what I said. It's a choice thing, If I was okay, if I had a choice, that's a good question. Because if I had a choice, would I, knowing what I know now, knowing I have beautiful mixed race grandchildren? I don't think so, because children are children. Children don't ask to be born, and who your mum and who your dad's going to be. Truly, Hidden was saying some of the challenges of family accepting, the person, or not accepting the person that you're with.
Absolutely.
And again, is it down to them? Yeah. If you're attracted to someone outside of your culture and your race, surely it's your choice. And yes, you want your family to engage in that, but let's go to as deep as that you now fall in love with this person and you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. Why not? We could go biblical, and biblically it used to say to stay with your own tribe. So there's something in there as to why your own tribe, but we don't live like that anymore. So, and God made us all, each color, each culture, each belief in itself. Asian people generally want to stay within their own community, you know. But they also go out.
Yeah.
Chinese, the same thing, you know, because love, love conquers all. Love,
Mm.
love doesn't is not prejudice or racist, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so the question would be: is that mum, dad, brother, sister? Why? You tell
Yeah.
me a good reason as to why I can't or why I shouldn't. And
Mm.
even when they come up with what they're coming up with, that's their opinion, and you leave them to their opinion. You know, our mum, she came around afterwards. You know, after all what she said when we was young, all of a sudden she came around, and you know, it would be like my older brother, and he was dating our older brother was dating. She was quarter caste actually, but you know, she looked white, and mummy loved her. You know,
Mm.
we did too. You know, and she was and is still part of the family. We see her, you know, it's like wow, it's Michelle. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't. What about you? How do you?
Let,
Would you?
let me read the comments. The Truly Hidden said challenges their family accepting,
Yeah, I
not
said that one.
accepting. Oh, did you say that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Family not accepting you. Lydia said, I call my family United Nation because every race you can think of. Love it. Truly Hidden said, I dated someone outside my race whose family wouldn't even allow me to come to their house, and told their son the moment he proposed to me, he would have to leave their lives. I was going to
Wow.
get on to that because that is a really poignant point. Uh, a lot of uh, a lot of families, especially like Indian, Chinese, um, I would even say Italian, you know, don't want white as well, don't want their family to mix with black people at all. It's like they don't want that in their bloodline at all. And the thing is, even if you're not even going to have children, they feel ashamed that their son or their daughter is dating someone outside their race. I find that black people are more accepting of different races than the other way round. That's what I personally find. You guys can comment what you actually think. But people get murdered by their family members because of this. They get
Mm,
totally um what is the word where they totally like blank you from the family. You're not allowed to see mother, brother, sister,
hmm.
excommunicate.
Exile you.
Yeah, where you're not allowed to be in relationship with the family if you choose somebody outside of your race. I think that that is totally extreme, but there must be racism there. There must be racism
See,
there.
what,
And
what, what? Go ahead.
yeah, I think that there must be racism there for someone to excommunicate their child because of their choice of who they choose to love. And people, like I said, people get murdered. This is, you know, this is like they do this whole honor killing because if you are marrying someone outside of the race, if you are, if you, to them, it's a shame, isn't it? You're bringing shame
Mm.
to the family.
But you know, it even happens in the Asian that you know,
Absolutely.
if you're Bengali and this person is Pakistani or they're Sikh, it's like no, you don't, you know. But yet when you look at the color of the skin, it's in some instances it's the same. You know, we've got light shades, we've got dark shades, you know, and some of it is um unfortunately religious based. You know, this is what we believe, and you believe this. You know, and because you know you've chosen to be with this person like that. No, we'd rather you be dead. You know, and to go to that extreme, I think it is. It's indoctrinated from when they're young as well, and then secondly, you're racist. There is
Yeah.
no two ways about it. You're racist. You're not prejudiced.
Absolutely.
You're racist, and so you will find you'll find that your life is behind bars. You know,
Yeah.
you'll find that if you don't, if we don't accept, we're going to find us, especially as parents ourselves, we're going to find ourselves very unhappy. You
Hmm.
know, because what you're trying to do is rule your child's life because of your belief system. Yeah, as opposed to allowing them to expand their experiences in life in order for them to make up their mind, like me. I made up my mind. Yep. If I made up my mind to be with a white person, yeah, or a Chinese, or whatever race it is, that's my choice.
Yeah.
That's mine. And when someone's taking that away from you, it's control, it's manipulation. You can't.
Absolutely.
We don't live for anybody else. We live for God from our belief system, and we live for ourselves. Yeah. So we will make our choices based upon us and not based upon what your ideologies are. Let's read some of this.
Absolutely. Pat said, I found living in Essex, but brought up in Hackney, my son is experiencing a different culture upbringing than that of the girls. My daughter, being the first black girl in her school, was extremely challenging, but we brought change. White uh, parents hostile, but I believe it was due to the unknown.
Yes.
Debbie, that still goes on today. Absolutely. I think because like you always hear this thing, yeah, and I've seen it, and I think I've had my words to say on it, which hasn't been positive in the past. But you see, like when you get into a certain industry, so say like for instance music industry, or you get into golfing, or you get into tennis, you tend to find certain industries tend to have more of the opposite race. So for instance, golf, tennis, these kind of industries, you're going to find a lot of white people in those industries. So these black people, even boxing, because I remember when Frank Bruno married a white woman, Tiger Woods, the race, Lewis Hamilton with she weren't white, she was kind of Hispanic, kind of, but married or dated outside of their race. A lot of black people was just like, when black people get to certain
Levels.
positions,
Mm-hmm.
they end up with white people, and it's kind of like, one, it was just like, oh, they're diluting down us, before you know it they're going to just all be white folks on their side. The money that should stay within the black community is being spread in the white community. The white people's getting more and more money, they're getting richer and richer off the back of the black people. I know that I added my voice to that kind of mindset, which has changed since, because if you go into certain environments, these are the people that you're going to meet with,
That's
and
right.
these that you're going to probably fall for, because that's your circle now. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And to look at it from a perspective of, oh, they're taking the money out of the community, black community, they're dating people outside of their race because of all of these things that I just said, it isn't really, really true. I think that if you're in a different environment, you're going to end up being around different people, and those people are just people, and you're going to probably fall for one of those people, unless you make up in your mind, I am not going to date anybody outside of my race. That's just somebody
Mm.
with a made up mind. But your reasoning behind it shouldn't be because, oh, it's going to dilute my family line, or the
Mm.
money is going to go into the white community. Those shouldn't be the reasons why you're not going to date outside of your race, or what people are going to say.
Pat says, I have taught my children to embrace their culture and color, and with that belief, they date both black, white, and even Asian. And I'm in agreement with that. I think you should embrace your culture. You should know who you are. You should know where you're
Absolutely.
coming from. You should. If knowing where you're coming from and knowing that there is prejudices in this society, if that pushes you to want to just stay within your lane of your own, then so be it. Whether you're white or whether you're black, whether you're Asian, etc., because of your choice again. Knowing where you're coming from. Some people, they look at slavery and they say, well, the white people, them, they treat you like this, and you know, go to the white people, yeah, without experiencing that. Yeah, I think that's but that's their choice. Yeah, based upon our history as a black race as well, because some people won't, you know. But like Pat, ought to allow the growth of our children and even the growth of ourselves. Some people are still single now and been single for the last 25 years. Matter of fact, some are pushing on to 50 years now, and they're never going to date because they choose not to go outside their race. But when they date a black man or they date a white guy, it all goes wrong, you know. So it's like, no, I'd rather be on my own. But rather be on my own than being with a black guy. I'd rather be on my own than being with a black with a white guy. It's confusing, you know, because the color of their skin makes you say no.
Mm-hmm.
So you say no to then. If that's the case, you need to be out there dating your own.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just shop. There's no good man, no good black man out there anymore. That's not actually true. And what you've done is that you've put yourself in a cocoon, and that you don't socialize anymore. You don't trust that this man who's saying, you know what? Let's say he said it like this, like you know, like you. He's a nice woman. Yeah, he wants his visa. Yeah, he wants his red book. Yeah, is that if maybe he did, maybe he doesn't. But you have to know yourself whether you know. You don't just jump in. We done that series or that talk on lust. You don't just jump over the fence. You don't even know what's on over there. You jump, mash up yourself. Who's it on? Oh, but he loves me. He loves me. You know. Yeah, I went to Jamaica. Yeah, and he was so lovely. All of a sudden, he's not so lovely. Yeah. Well, what do you think he wanted? Yeah, but you don't just jump and just do. You know, holiday romance, some can work, some can't work. You know, you take your time. You take your time, and in time, you will see the true colors of individuals, black, white, and indifferent. You know?
Yeah, but you know what I was going to say? I remember when I was young, yeah, and I went to the bakery in Deptford, and the man that was there, his name was Tony, and he was white Jamaican, yeah, and it was such a shock for me. I was just like, oh my god, this white man speaking Jamaican. Mummy was in stitches. If you was to meet a white Jamaican, would that be okay then? Would it be okay to date somebody whose skin color is different, but they belong to your
They're born
race?
in Jamaica, they're born in
Exactly.
Nigeria, or whatever, and that's all they've known.
Right.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Anybody?
Because ultimately they're Jamaican, innit? Or they're African, or and they know your race and they know the culture, they know all of that, but their skin is different. Do you get what I mean? What say you then? Are you going to date somebody not date somebody purely because of their skin? Because you can get the Indian Jamaicans, you can get the Indian Africans, you can get all of these different, you know, mixed people from your culture. So you have to identify whether it's because of their skin color, whether you're dating someone or not. And I think that sometimes it is down to skin color and not really down to culture. Because if there was this program one time and they had blind dates. So in the dark, I think it was something like that.
Yeah.
And then they got to a place where they wanted to marry the person. I was just like, how is it that you want to marry this person? But everything they were saying was just like ticking the boxes, absolutely ticking the boxes. And I was thinking to myself, well, now when you get to see that person, supposing they have something completely different culture, forget about, you know, whether they're handsome or pretty or whatever, but they're completely different culture. What then? Do you get what I mean? Because then it's purely because of their skin color, not because of everything that they brought to the table while she was dating them in the dark. I thought that was an interesting program. I think I saw part of one, and I thought that it was quite interesting. And the people who was having the conversation, like I saw it at the end, they actually did like that person. Whether it was sustainable, I really didn't know because I didn't go on to watch anymore. But it's one of those things that you have to ask that question.
Well, I think it's exactly what truly hidden saying. I don't see a problem at all. I mean, Pat says exactly. Let me go back to Pat. I think we need to ask ourselves why. Definitely, exactly as black women, we have struggled to get position of power, wealth, and exposure. Also, it's not about color. Look at and study yourself to know yourself and what you're looking for. It's so true. I don't see a problem at all. I don't see a problem here. I think it. I think it
Probably both.
boils down to to alignment. Are we going? Are we going the same way? Definitely. Are you going the same way? You know.
Yeah.
I you know what you were saying, Debbie. I find that same series in the dark. That's exactly what we need to have when we're talking to individuals. We have to have our eyes closed to skin color, um, and listen to the person as an individual. If that's your choice, you remember the choice has to be that you're open to, you're single. You want to date, you want to get married. You open yourself to that if you want to. Can't say I'm lonely. There's no good men, no good black men out there. There's good men out there. Oh no, man, there ain't no white girls. There's no good black girls out there though. You know, all they want is your money, and all they want to do is this, and all they want to moan, and you can't. You know, you closed yourself off to happiness. You don't know where the happiness is coming from. You know, so you open yourself up. Like I said, my choice, unless you have the choice, and the choice was given to me when I had my children.
Absolutely.
My choice was given. I followed through with that. I like chocolate. Yeah? Dark chocolate is lovely for me. You know, and I actually do love dark chocolate. You know, the darker the better. You know, my wife is chocolate, dark chocolate. I love that. You know, but the funny thing, growing up, all the words that was saying, you know, African bubble and this and that, and you associated me when I was younger that the dark women were African bubble. Yeah? Or if you like a dark girl, like you like her. Look at
I know.
you know. But secretly inside, I actually like those girls. You
Yeah.
know,
Because they want everyone wanted the
but,
browning, innit? Everyone wanted the brown skin.
yeah. You know, I think it's down to like, right. Any questions? Yeah, we've got a few more minutes left.
Yeah, I think that what does it say? I think yeah. So I think that it's down to the individual. You know, I don't think that there should be pressure on people who they should date and so forth. I understand people's perspective from, you know, us not being able to get positions, us not being able to, you know, be seen as black people and all of those things. But I don't think that that warrants whether you date somebody who's black or white. And a lot of parents, like our parents' age group, they say, you know, I don't want my children to bring home a white person. I don't want my child to bring home somebody that is white in particular. They don't really say Indian or, you know, Chinese or
Mm-hmm.
it's not they don't want that. But then when they meet them and they sit and they talk with them, you know, because I remember when mum used to sit and talk with them, I used to be thinking, look how you're sitting and talking with them, like it's nothing. You know what I mean? But you're the same one that is there saying, you know, I know mixed race grand pitney
Right.
and blah blah. But when you get to know someone, you just realize, you know what, this person's cool. They're all right. There's no harm in my son or my daughter dating outside of the race. But again, it does come down to mindset. It comes down to what you've been taught culturally, the things that you see, your belief system, all of those kind of things. But I think that we both concur, you know, there are the pros and cons of dating outside of your race, but it shouldn't actually stop you. There's going to be pros and cons in all relationships. It's
That's
just
right.
whether you want to work through those pros and cons and see the person for who they are. When you get to know who you are and love yourself, then it's not hard for you to actually love somebody else for who they actually are. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
So,
That's
final
perfect.
word. Has anyone got anything else to say in the chat before we log off? Any last?
Just give
Any
me a
last?
moment. So my final words on this matter in itself is you make the choice. You know, you make the choice, not your family, and definitely not your friends. It's your choice. If your preference is sorry, fly. If your preference your preference is kung fu, really, outside of your norm, then so be it. You know, um, you have to make that choice on love. You
You're absolutely right there.
I feel like these
Truly
days,
hidden.
dating outside your race is less taboo as everyone's moving on to onto the same sex partners. Do you know what? Truly, do you want us to cover that on, or do you think
We are
it
going to
might be a
cover
bit
it. You
too?
know, we're going to cover it.
Because next thing you know, they're gonna when we're not on here right anymore. Yeah.
We'll be in mid conversation and it just shut down.
Switch off.
But you know what? Everybody's entitled to their views and their opinions. You're
Of course,
entitled to that. You're entitled to
absolutely.
your views and your opinions. But YouTube has a way of just like shutting people down. You know. But you know what I was actually going to bring up, which I didn't bring up before, was some of the mixed couples that have been in the media, like the Kardashians. Yeah, I remember when they were saying that the Kardashian girls were just dating all black guys, and the challenges that they experienced within those relationships. Because after when they broke up, there was a lot of talk about race, a lot of conversations about whether their relationship was sustainable because of the different racial backgrounds and so forth. And you know, there was a lot of conversation. You know, you don't know how much of it is true because you know the media will always hype things up, but you know, I just think that a lot of people who see relationships like that will always look at it from a perspective of, no, I didn't think that that was going to work because he's black, she's white, not going to really work. And I think that the media also fed into that narrative to say the relationships weren't going to work, you know, because a mixed couple.
This we had a final word, but another last final word from me, and you can finish up with it. Don't you think though that as black people as a race, that we influence every other culture as well? You'll find that there's Asian, Chinese, whatever the race, especially the guys. I would say, well, I say the guys, but I know some girls like that as well. That they take on this. I think it's it was influenced before, but more of the music, the culture, the way that we dress. That now has influenced a lot of the younger generation.
Yeah.
To draw to us, and we draw to them because there's almost like, or not we, but you know, the generation, they relate to one another now. You know, the way they dress, the way they dance, the music, you know, yeah. I don't you think that
Yeah, younger people's not on the
they don't
same
see
thing.
color? No, they don't see
They
color.
tend not to be on the same thing. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I recently was on the bus and I heard like some kids behind me talking. I just thought that they was just young black kids. They weren't. They were white kids. Do you know what I mean? They didn't sound no different from how the black kids would sound. They've got that street talk, and you know. And I remember working in a school, and it was like a private school, yeah. And the kids that were going to the private school, their whole accent, it wasn't posh. There was a few. There was quite a few of them that was quite posh, but it was like, in it though. Nah, man. Nah, what is it that you're saying to me though? No, man. And I was just like, wow, they was totally like influenced by black culture. And what I thought was nice was like even the parents, when they was coming to collect their children, they wasn't going on all stucked up. You get what I mean? They was talking with the black people, talking to the Indian people. And I don't know if it's because they've built a culture around the school, so everybody that goes to that school talks to one another. But it was, you know, I remember back in the day we used to be like, why are these people trying to talk black though? You know, why are you trying to talk like black people? Are you trying to eat black people's food? But you know, again, I was in in Brixton on Friday, and there was people sitting there and eating their rice and peas and chicken. There was a white guy that went to the Caribbean shop that I went to, and he was there saying, "Oh, I love this food. I just love this food. This is just, you know what I mean? Food is just nice, man. And it is what it is, And I do like to see people just getting on. I do like people just loving on people and just being one as God would absolutely want us to be. What you say, then follow fashion. So that is, isn't it? But Pat, yeah, we will be having that discussion about what Truly Hidden said about it's less taboo now, but it is less taboo. But when you do see a black woman with a white guy, you do look. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the older generation as well are dating outside of their race. I see a lot more black women with older white men. I've noticed more women with white men, especially over the last 5 years. That's just probably
See,
me.
that's so different. Like the taboo that a Rasta man, in just culture, but he has his white wife. He looks
I know.
normal. She ain't got nothing
I know.
like that. So, I remember before it never used to be like that. You think to yourself, and when you see, you say, "Bucks cover."
Yeah.
All right. Okay. No.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Rasta man, a proper dread with his white lady,
proper
his
Rasta
mixed-race
culture.
children.
You say, "Oh, yeah, say, man, yeah, all right, though." Yeah. Really, Selassie, and all of a sudden it's like there's an expectation, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
That culture.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. But life isn't like that.
Yeah,
Final word, Debbie, to close.
absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for this topic. That's because they know good food. That's what you say, because they know good food. Absolutely, and we're going to get that with our culture anyway, because the food is just on point. But yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you, Pat, Truly Hidden, and all
Please
of those
share.
that are joining us in the chat. Thank you so much. Go on, Paul.
Please share. Bring. As I said last week, please tell the guys. I want some guys in here that's having a conversation as well. And maybe they may reject. Some of you are going to watch this afterwards as well. Please share with your male friends as well. I don't want to be the only man up in here. Yeah, even though I'm secure in myself. I want the discussion. It is. I want the discussion to be both ways. That there are men that are going to agree with this. There are women who are going to agree and disagree. So we can have a conversation together. If you got your partners, your husband, please bring them in.
Just have your phone on, laptop with you, and they can just join you and hear the conversation.
Absolutely.
Give their feedback. And I think that we're going to probably next week pick probably a male dominating subject, and then see how that goes. See what the guys are actually saying.
Hey, so we'll see you next week.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful session. Thanks, Paul, as per usual, doing your thing. And yeah, guys, we will catch you next week for some more in time. Take care.
Remember, this week, get your motivation on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.